All right, Disney World, we need answers. When 2023 rolls around, what things are coming back? What's leaving for good? What projects are going to be back on the table? Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. All right, 2022 is on its way to wrapping things up, meaning it's time we start looking into everything that'll be happening once 2023 rolls around, which of course we've already been doing. Although we know about some of the things Disney has in store for the new year, there are still lots that have been left up in the air. So let's have a much needed heart-to-heart today about the things we want to see happen in Disney World in 2023, whether they are realistic or a pretty far stretch. And we're going to talk about kind of where they fall on that spectrum. First up, we want any news, anything at all about the Disney dining plan and annual passes. We've been in limbo for way too long, Disney. So what's it going to be? Is the Disney dining plan coming back or not? They said it was coming back, and our annual pass is going to go live once again for out-of-state guests, or will they be a thing of the past too? And how will you be able to plan a trip without either service to lean on? Okay, if you're new to this scene, I'll bring you up to speed. The Disney dining plan was a pre-purchased dining package that could be added to a Disney vacation. So much like an all-inclusive cruise, you could have your meals paid for before your vacation, so you didn't have to worry about paying for them on vacation unless you added any extra meal expenses like extra alcoholic beverages, etc. Now, there's a lot more to it than that. Lots of pros and cons to this one. We covered it in a YouTube video a while back as we exposed the full and honest truth of the Disney dining plan. But all you need to know about it for now is that it disappeared after the historical park closures in 2020, and when the parks reopened, it didn't come back. Now, I'm going to geek out for a second here on you, because how many of you remember that when the parks closed in 2020, they actually gave a free dining plan perk to people who had to cancel their vacations because of the park closures? And then once they gave that free dining plan perk to those people, then they took away the dining plan altogether, so they didn't actually get it. It was a real weird time. And that's the last time that we saw the dining plan sort of in existence. Now, in 2021, Disney assured guests that the dining plan would be returning eventually. They just weren't ready to reveal an exact return date just yet. But that was it. And it's been crickets ever since. So now we're heading into our second year of knowing literally nothing, even though Disney has said the dining plan would be returning. So there we are right there. We just need info, Disney. Anything. And then there are the annual passes that have not necessarily been silent, but have been extremely spotty. Like, annual passes did come back after an extended hiatus, returning to the scene in September 2021. They even came back with a different 4-tiered system. Again, you can learn all about the backstory behind annual passes from our Expose All video we did on that too. But after only a few months of being live on the website, gone. They were gone. Now the Pixie Dust Pass, aka the cheapest pass with the most blockout dates, that's available for Florida residents only, is the only pass that remains currently, with no word on the return of the others, except that there was that weird website glitch that happened back in June when 2 other Florida resident pass tiers seemed to open up but went immediately back down after their short-lived time on the site. Now in 2023, we just want anything that lets us know if either of these programs have a future, and we know that many of you feel the same way. In the meantime, if you'd like to save money on those theme park tickets as an out-of-state resident, you can check the ticket calendar on the Disney World website and plan your visit when the fluctuated pricing dips to its lowest, which ranges around the beginning of the year and the start of the fall season. Sometimes Disney World vacation packages, which include tickets and hotel in a bundle deal, can help you save money, especially if Disney World's special offers, deals, and discounts page is promoting any type of special savings that you can tack onto your purchase. And if you want to make sure you're getting the cheapest park ticket possible, skip out on the Park Hopper add-ons and stick with the single-day passes only. That alone can help you save $65 to $85 per ticket. And if you need help with your Disney restaurant budgeting while the dining plan continues to be MIA, we here at DFB would be more than happy to help. We've got quite a few dining guides featured on the DFB store website that cover a variety of different dining topics like eating at the holidays, Epcot festivals, trying park snacks, and a huge guide that goes in depth about every single Disney World restaurant on property. But let me give you a sneak peek at some of the dining tips we've collected that you're going to find in these guides. These guides have great tips like giving you recommendations for hearty snacks that can double as a meal for under $10, talking about which table service restaurants are going to be worth your money, and how to save money at counter service restaurants. Lots of detail, lots of info. We've been researching these books for, 30 years now, more than that? So lots of details. All right, the 2020 closures created a lot of lasting changes inside the Disney parks, including this next one, park hopping updates. Now, a change we would love to see in 2023 is park hopping whenever we want, but we're pretty sure this won't happen, and I'll explain why in just a second. So jumping between the different Disney World parks used to look very different, and though we've learned how to work alongside the new rules, we still can't help reminiscing about the way things were before the pandemic. Previously, park hoppers didn't have limitations. You could start your morning in Hollywood Studios at 8 a.m. and jump over to Epcot at 11 a.m. if you wanted to. But ever since park hoppers returned to Disney World at the start of 2021, everything got a whole lot of rules. Now you can only park hop to another park after 2 p.m. So why the change? Well, it's all got to do with another service that was introduced after the parks reopened in 2020, the Park Pass reservation system. Park Pass reservations made it to where guests needed to reserve their spot in the parks for every day of their visit. At first, the system was only going to be around for a little bit since Disney World had to majorly limit park capacity upon its initial reopening. At least that's what we thought. But now, Park Pass reservations are here to stay, even with the increased capacity, since the system can help Disney determine crowd levels and patterns in advance and can also help them regulate those crowd levels. Now, unfortunately, if Park Pass reservations are here to stay, that probably means the 2 p.m. park hopper rule is here to stay too. Otherwise, guests could just hop on over to a park that they couldn't get an initial reservation for immediately after scanning into the park they did get a reservation for. But that doesn't mean we can't hope for these rules to be lifted someday, because we really do miss being able to split our mornings between two parks. But this change doesn't have to completely derail your trip by any means. Just remember to book your Park Pass reservations well in advance for a better chance of getting the reservation for the park you want to visit, especially if you're planning on visiting around a busier time of year like an extended weekend or the holiday season, because those do sell out. Again, you don't have to use a park hopper at all if you don't want to, but if you still do want to use a park hopper to visit multiple parks in a limited amount of time, try hopping between parks that are easy to jump between without wasting a whole lot of time with all that traveling. Disney's Hollywood Studios and Epcot are just a Skyliner ride away from each other, making them the perfect parks to double up on. You can also use the Epcot monorail to travel over to Magic Kingdom's Transportation and Ticket Center, then transfer monorails from there to get to the Magic Kingdom front gates, which is more time-consuming than the Skyliner probably, but still helps you avoid bus lines or having to drive between the parks yourself. All right, I'm really feeling the missing presence of this next item on our list because the Epcot festivals are not the same without these. Let's talk about the seminars and demonstrations. Now, I've got a little more hope for the return of the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, Deminars as we call them. Those seminars and demos, the special events that used to happen during this epic festival. And I'm going to tell you why I have a little hope for this. First, let me talk about what these events used to look like before they disappeared from our lives. Party for the Senses was a separate ticketed event that featured different international eats and drinks for over 50 different tasting stations. The World Showplace used to hold those cheese seminars, which were classes based around cheese. Doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out why I'm missing that one. The Mix It, Make It, Celebrate It hands-on workshops, those taught folks how to learn about several types of culinary subjects like decorating cakes, garnishing entrees, mixing up tasty cocktails, and they always featured celebrity chefs or very, very, very knowledgeable folks in the culinary field. And there also used to be those super great specialty meals you could sign up for, like Parisian breakfast at Chefs de France, the Parisian afternoon sandwiches, macarons, and bubbles at Monsieur Paul, the hibachi experience, year of celebration at Teppan Edo, culinary tour of Japan at Tokyo Dining, etc., etc., etc. So many good things going on. And you see why this has created such a dent in the offerings at Food and Wine. We're missing like over half of what it used to be. However, there is a sliver of hope for the return of at least some of these offerings, thanks to the International Festival area coming to Epcot. Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza will be located in Epcot's World Celebration area and serve as the new home base of the festivals. Now, this is going to give the festivals a more centralized area for their food and entertainment offerings. And though details are still up in the air about this project, Disney has stated that they expect it to be up and running by the end of 2023. So that could still mean we won't see Food and Wine events return next year, but we might have a better chance of seeing them again in 2024. This is wishful thinking, of course, but hey, I've got to keep hope alive. And since we're on the subject of dreaming, let's talk about the dreams of Disney World. We want more concrete details about those blue sky projects. Let's talk about those up-in-the-air projects Disney World pitched our way during the most recent D23 convention. Remember when Josh D'Amaro, president of the Disney Parks Experiences and Products Division, decided to share with the class some ideas that the Disney Imagineering team had been spitballing during their brainstorming sessions? These included a brand new area of Magic Kingdom, like a park expansion, and a complete overhaul of Dino Land in Animal Kingdom. In Magic Kingdom, there were talks of lands beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, themed around concepts like Coco and Kanto and a full-on Disney Villains area. For Animal Kingdom, we couldn't quite pin down whether the additional lands being imagined would expand Dino Land USA or replace it completely, but what we did learn was that Disney's planning on possibly reworking that area with sections that could feature Moana or Zootopia. But again, though these were plans that were openly discussed during the convention, there was this air of warning that came alongside them, which is why they've been deemed as blue sky projects, aka concepts that Disney's team is working on, but they're not finalized and, most importantly, not confirmed. And that's what we want to change this year. We want to know the true status of these daydreams. Should we get excited for them, or should we leave them in the dust and not get our hopes up about seeing those built anytime soon? Now that we've talked about the anytime soon, remember, the Epic Universe is coming right down the pike over there at Universal, my friends. So I feel like Disney might be having some FOMO. Now that we've talked about what could be, let's talk about what will be that's already in motion that we can actually get excited about. Splash Mountain's going to undergo that major transformation to become Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which will finally come to fruition at the end of 2024. So we've still got a ways to go before it's ready to ride, but at least we know it's in the process. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, keeps getting cooler and cooler over there in Epcot. It's an immersive walkthrough attraction where guests can play with the living waters around the path, as well as learn about the importance of the water cycle. This should be opening in late 2023, and I am super vibing with the potential that this is like a chill, like Maharaja Jungle Trek kind of thing. Like, I love it. Now, we're getting 2 brand new nighttime spectaculars in Epcot and Magic Kingdom next year, and though we're not exactly sure when, we're assuming sometime after the 50th anniversary finally wraps up at the end of March. And Tron Light Cycle Run, that's going to be speeding its way through Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland starting in spring 2023. So yeah, there are a lot of Disney World concepts that are super up in the air, but we're glad we've got things to look forward to that'll be popping up around the parks in both the near and far future. Oh, by the way, happily ever after. So you may be asking, AJ, are you more hopeful or more doubtful that these blue sky projects will see the light of day? And that's tricky. While it does take a lot for Disney to come out and talk about a project, even when in its early stages, I'm still wondering about other projects that haven't yet been finished that Disney promised us years ago. So something else we hope changes in 2023 is that we get some more news about the shelved projects. So during the 2019 D23 convention, we got to hear about these big Epcot plans that involved a complete remodel of Spaceship Earth and an added Mary Poppins dark ride for the UK pavilion. Well, a dark attraction. I don't know if it's going to be a ride or not. A new DVC resort called Reflections, a lakeside lodge, was also announced and groundbroken for in 2019. But each of these projects has been suspended until further notice and might possibly be completely cut from Disney's future plans entirely. To be fair, Disney more than likely didn't make these decisions lightly. The projects were suspended mostly as a result of the 2020 closures and everything that happened there. But there's a possibility that these could be on permanent pause as an effect of a potential recession. This isn't Disney's first rodeo when it comes to navigating a recession, but the way they've gone about handling projects in recessions past have kept us on our toes. During the 2001 recession, which followed the 9/11 attacks, Disney construction slowed and some projects were completely abandoned, like the expansion of the Pop Century Resort, which later on actually became Disney's Art of Animation instead. Disney's River Country Water Park also didn't return after its routine winter maintenance that year, though it wasn't declared permanently closed until 2005. However, during the 2008 recession, Disney did the flip opposite and invested tons of money into new projects, like the former American Idol experience that opened in MGM Studios in 2009, the development of the Art of Animation Resort, which opened in 2012, and that giant expansion of Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom, which is how we got additions like Be Our Guest Restaurant, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid. Then again, the way Disney responded to both recessions might be mixed, but not exactly shocking. In 2001, projects needed to be cut back because fear of traveling was still very prominent, and Disney wanted to make sure they were able to ride this wave of decreased demand. But in 2008, in the midst of the Great Recession, Disney wanted guests to find reasons to invest in their parks, as well as prepare for a travel demand that would surge post-recession, which meant building shiny new toys for guests to ooh and ah over when they came back. So will we hear more about these shelved projects in 2023 in the midst of the current recession? We hope so, but we're not exactly counting on it. It seems that Disney's focus has shifted to other projects like the ones I mentioned earlier, as well as a few others I'll be mentioning later in this video. Not to mention, Disney didn't ditch all of their promised projects. There are a few of the new projects we received over the past couple of years that are still on. We got Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Epcot, as well as new Epcot restaurants like La Crêperie de Paris, the Crêpes à Emporter, and Space 220. And we're about to get Woody's Roundup Barbecue over in Disney's Hollywood Studios later this year. We received a reimagined Finding Nemo the Musical, The Big Blue and Beyond in Disney's Animal Kingdom. And we are continuing to see progress on the Walt Disney World Railroad and, of course, Tron. Not only that, but we've gotten refreshed looks for several Disney World hotels, including Polynesian Village, Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Contemporary, and Disney's Wilderness Lodge. And, of course, they are building all kinds of Disney Vacation Club buildings, like every deluxe resort has Disney Vacation Club buildings, and some of them are getting more. It's not the first time Disney's had to shelve a project for the sake of other projects that may be more fruitful for them, and it certainly won't be the last. And so we're on the fence about those blue sky projects I talked about in my last point, and whether they're actually going to happen or not. But we would love to hear updates on those shelved projects in 2023, Disney. That'd be great. All right, now I know I took this next thing for granted before, but I promise Disney, if you bring it back, I'll never ever take it for granted again. Ever. We would love to see package pickup return in 2023. The Disney World hotels have changed, and we'd like them to change back, please and thank you. Before the 2020 closures, we had the privilege of being able to purchase souvenirs at Disney World gift shops and have them directly delivered to our hotels. That way we wouldn't have to lug them around all day long. But alas, package pickup has not returned since its disappearance post-pandemic. Other hotel services, like the full housekeeping and room service at most Disney resorts, have also been discontinued till the foreseeable future. Though most everything else in the Disney World resorts has returned, like the restaurants, pools, shops, and entertainment, it'd be nice to see these little conveniences come back to help us out once again. Keep this in mind when you're purchasing those bulky merchandise items at the gift shop. It's better to buy those later in the day if you can. That way you don't have to carry them with you all day long or have to interrupt your vacation to backtrack to the hotel to drop them off yourself. You can also grab a locker if you want to store those, or of course you can mail them directly to your home from the shop itself. That's a great tip. All right, so Disney World can be a tease, which is why we're hoping for more news about this character who's developed quite the cult following over the years. That's right, we're talking about your favorite little purple dragon. The suspense was killing us. The more tomorrow talked, the more our hopes grew. Was this finally the year that Disney would announce an overhaul for Epcot's Journey into Imagination with Figment Dark Ride? After years and years of asking, would Disney finally say yes to bringing back the Dream Finder and a Figment ride that isn't so mediocre? Quick history lesson for you. The original Journey into Imagination was epic, at least it was for us in the 80s. Trippy and a little freaky in parts, but epic nonetheless. The original protagonist of the ride, that Dream Finder, would lead guests through a realm of artistic wonder via his steampunk-looking Dreammobile, collecting inspiration along the way that would lead to the creation of our little purple dragon friend, Figment. But in 1999, the ride was rethemed into Journey into Your Imagination, which got rid of Figment and the Dream Finder and was wildly disliked. So much so that this iteration of the ride only lasted until 2001. The current version at least has our old buddy Figment back, but many guests still regard it as a highly inferior version to what once was. But Disney's not really done anything to change that. At times, it feels like they're kind of leaving this dark ride to rot. The Figment animatronic doesn't seem to be as fluid as it was during its younger years, the screen technology can be glitchy, and the Imagination Institute that you exit out into after the ride concludes seems lacking. But at the same time, Disney also seems to be giving Figgy a whole lot of love lately. Not only is Figment the main mascot of Epcot's Festival of the Arts, but his merch has been some of the most coveted by guests, leading to that popcorn bucket fiasco earlier this year that we are still baffled by. 6-hour waits just for a popcorn bucket shaped like Figment? It is absolutely bizarre. And we recently learned that Figment would be starring in his own movie created by Seth Rogen. But wait, there's more. A Figment meet and greet will be coming to the parks by the end of 2023. So we see all this Figment action going on, and the ride remains the same? Are we really not going to get any sort of announcement for any updates? Nothing? Maybe that'll change next year. Maybe 2023 will finally be the year that the Dreamfinder will make his prodigal return to his ride. But for now, Journey into Imagination with Figment is still the same. It'll spray you with skunk smell and force you to behold the horrors of Dr. Nigel Channing's face across the moon. But at least this dark ride is still a good one to hit up midday when all the other ride lines are getting a little too intense. Now, as you can tell, many of the changes we'd love to see happen at Disney World next year are things we remember having in the past that we're missing a lot, like these next 2 points. Dear Disney, can we please make early theme park entry longer in 2023? If you've been following DFB for a while now, then you've probably heard me go on and on about early theme park entry. But how much do you know about the way early entry worked before the pandemic? Yep, before the 2020 closures, Disney World Resort guests had access to a benefit called Extra Magic Hours. On select mornings at select parks, you'd be able to enter the parks an hour before they officially opened for the rest of the public. But with the new early theme park entry, Disney World Resort guests and Good Neighbor Hotel guests too can enter the parks 30 minutes beforehand. We really do miss that extra hour of time because you could get so much done, especially when it came to hitting up the more popular rides. But there is something to be said about the new early theme park entry benefit, because instead of early hours only being available on certain mornings for certain parks, you can now go to any park on any morning as long as you have a park pass 30 minutes before they open. So it is a good new feature. We like being able to access all the parks early, but we sure wouldn't mind if Disney announced we could have our hour of extra time back too. By the way, early theme park hours aren't the only benefit that used to be included with the Extra Magic Hours perk. On certain nights at select parks, Disney World hotel guests also used to be able to hang out in the parks after they closed off to the rest of the public, and this was available to anybody staying at any Disney World hotel. So our request to Disney is to bring that back, that anybody staying at any Disney World hotel can go to the parks after they close for those extended evening hours. Now, the new extended evening hours benefit that we've got now still does pretty much the same thing, but here's the catch. This benefit is now only available to those staying at a deluxe Disney World resort. Tricky. So you gotta be paying the big bucks to take advantage of this perk. We'd love for this to change and for these extended evening hours to be available for all Disney World hotel guests again. But the likelihood of that happening next year is slim. This perk gives deluxe resort guests a major advantage over the other resort guests, making the higher priced hotels a more compelling sell, meaning more money in Disney's pockets. But there are other ways you can stay in the parks after they close too. Starting in January, the after hours events are returning on select nights to Magic Kingdom and Disney's Hollywood Studios. These are a separate cost that could cost as much as an average price park ticket, but allow you to enter the parks for up to 3 hours after they close and also have your pick of several complimentary snacks. Now, if you do the math, spending $159 for an after hours ticket is a lot less expensive than spending a night in a deluxe resort, but if there are 4 of you staying in a deluxe resort, then $159 times 4 could cost more than staying a night in a deluxe resort. You got to do those calculations to see what the easiest way and the cheapest way to spend an extra few hours in the parks are going to be for you. Now, tickets for those after-hour events are on sale now on the Disney World website. And if you're interested in getting extended evening hours via the deluxe resort route, the cheapest way you'll be able to manage this is by booking a room over at Walt Disney World's Swan and Dolphin resorts. They're owned by Marriott and not Disney, and these two companies have joined forces, though, to give you a deluxe resort experience at a more moderate price. You can still get those extended evening hours and potentially save hundreds on your hotel stay, and you can still walk to Epcot and Hollywood Studios from these hotels. It is an excellent deal. All right, I've already opened up the after hours can of worms here, so might as well dive a bit further into that. Call me demanding, but I'm ready for the parks to be open longer. What about you? We've already got after hours events appearing on the 2023 calendar, and we're hoping that's only the start of many more after hours opportunities to come. But what we also want to see in 2023 is the return of early morning events. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Early morning magic used to be a separate ticketed price point available for guests. Instead of being in the parks for a few hours after they closed, you could get to the parks a few hours before they opened. It was much better for little kids. Now, if you're someone who's more of an early bird rather than a night owl, there are still opportunities to get your Disney day started as early as possible. Character dining experiences like Chef Mickey's and Disney's Contemporary Resort and Topolino's Terrace and Riviera, they open around 7:30 a.m., which means you can start meeting your favorite characters and have a full-on sit-down meal at the start of your day. And that's definitely hitting the ground running. But still, bring back the early morning magic park hours, Disney. I would love to see those come back. Okay, great. Now I'm hungry, but that just means I'm ready to start talking about my favorite subject of them all, Disney food, and the changes we want to see in 2023 around those. Here's hoping the remaining closed restaurants reopen soon. When the Disney World parks reopened after the 2020 closures, lots of restaurants did not immediately return to the Disney scene. Plenty stayed dark, giving us very limited dining options during our vacations. But fast forwarding to today, most Disney World restaurants are back in business, open and ready to take our money. Most recently, we welcomed the signature restaurant Monsieur Paul back to the France Pavilion in Epcot, and now the Princess Character Dining Buffet Akershus Royal Banquet Hall will also be reopening in Epcot starting November 4th, which means we've only got a few more restaurants to go. We're hoping to see the return of some classic Grand Floridian offerings like the Character Buffet 1900 Park Fare and the Garden View Tea Room. But you definitely don't have to wait to eat at the Grand Floridian. You still have plenty of options to choose from at this hotel during your next visit. Gasparilla Island Grill with their killer mac and cheese, Citrico's, Grand Floridian Cafe, definitely get the chicken and waffles, and of course Victoria and Albert's. Usually I'd throw Narcoossee's in this list too, but the waterfront restaurant is currently experiencing major renovations and has been closed since this past July, but I'll let you know when I hear about its reopening date. Now at Epcot, we're still waiting to hear about the return of other restaurants like the upscale Takumi Tei in the Japan Pavilion and Restaurant Marrakesh over in Morocco. But for the time being, if you'd like a Japanese-inspired restaurant experience in the World Showcase, make those reservations for Tokyo Dining or Teppan-Edo. Or you can grab something quick from Katsura Grill like sushi, teriyaki chicken, or shrimp udon. Your options are a bit more limited in the Morocco Pavilion, but you do have options. And currently, the Old Tangerine Cafe has been serving the pavilion's festival offerings throughout the year. If you hit up the Oasis Sweets and Sips window, you can try an assortment of Mediterranean pastries as well. Now, though some of y'all will be thrilled to hear about this next set of changes, if when they happen, others may be less than thrilled. Let's talk about the return of the princesses. Okay, right off the bat, I've got great news for you because Akershus is reopening in Epcot and the princesses are coming back. So Disney World will finally have a princess character meal with multiple princesses over there in Epcot again. But Cinderella's Royal Table does not have its princesses back. It only has Cindy and she's only downstairs. She doesn't actually meet and greet up in the restaurant. And it just doesn't feel as special when you know you're missing out on meeting princesses like Jasmine and Ariel, Aurora and Belle, which used to be available before the 2020 closures happened. And at Disney's Boardwalk Inn over at Trattoria El Forno around breakfast time, you used to be able to meet Ariel and Prince Eric and Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, or Eugene Fitzherbert if that's what you prefer to call him. But currently, the breakfast atmosphere is princess-less until Akershus opens. But that doesn't mean these experiences aren't going to change soon, so we will keep our ears to the ground. But be a little careful what you wish for. We were thrilled to see other character dining experiences return to places like Ohana at Disney's Polynesian Village, Cape May Cafe at Beach Club, and Crystal Palace at Magic Kingdom. But the return of these characters also came with major menu price spikes, as in the prices for these restaurants doubled what they were before when the characters came back on the scene. So even if you are missing the Princess Posse, this may also be the most affordable time you're ever going to be able to experience Cinderella's Royal Table. Just food for thought. Now, this next point might make me sound needy, but I promise there's merit to it, and hopefully you'll agree. A change I would love to see in 2023 is mobile checkout coming to more stores. I hate how easy it is to use mobile checkout in select Disney World shops. On the one hand, you're able to pick up items off the shelf, and instead of standing in a forever long physical line, you can just tap on your My Disney Experience app, select merchandise mobile checkout, choose which shop you're wanting to purchase from, follow the prompts, and self-checkout without the need of a register or a cast member. Though you need to show your receipt of purchase to a cast member at the front of the store, just to let them know you went the mobile checkout route and aren't just walking out of the shop without paying for what you're holding. On the other hand, it's too convenient, and that's a dangerous game, your wallet will agree. This mobile checkout option also has me spoiled because what do you mean I have to stand in line everywhere else? Now, currently there are only a handful of shops that offer mobile checkout. Emporium at Magic Kingdom, Creations Shop and Treasures of Xandar at Epcot, Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities and Mickey's of Hollywood in Disney's Hollywood Studios, Discovery Trading Company and Island Mercantile at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and Superhero Headquarters and World of Disney at Disney Springs. Now, the good news here is that we'll probably continue to see this list expand. After all, Doc Ondar just started offering the mobile checkout option this September, so we could start seeing this nifty function hitting up the other shops. But in the meantime, know this is an option available to you as long as you have your credit card info linked to your My Disney Experience before your trip. Now, this next change has already been announced, but we are so ready to hear more about it. Okay, I alluded to it earlier, but now we're going into detail. Disney World is bringing back Happily Ever After, but it may not be in the way you were expecting. Another big announcement made during the D23 convention this year was that Happily Ever After would be returning to Magic Kingdom, which was a shock. The nighttime spectacular Happily Ever After originally debuted back in 2017. Then it went dark for a good long while after the parks reopened in 2020, and it was brought back in July 2021, only for it to end a couple of months later to make way for the 50th anniversary show, Disney Enchantment. So yeah, Happily Ever After has had quite the journey, and we are stoked for its return, but it's not returning in the exact same way. I know a lot of you were about to start leaving a comment. Though the original soundtrack will be accompanying the castle projection show, Disney has stated there will be a new projection show and fireworks show to go along with the spectacular song. I'm not nervous about that update. I just hope we get to see a show that gives us goosebumps again. And Bria wants you to know that if the floating lanterns don't return, then so help her, she will cry, just flat out sob. So if you want to learn more about when this show's coming back to the parks, then go ahead and sign up for the DFB newsletter. It is completely free, as you know, and any and all major park news and updates will be sent straight to your inbox. The link is right down in the description. And now for the wish list that's so out of left field that they'll more than likely never see the light of day. But then again, if any of these do come to pass, I 100% get to say I told you so, okay? Okay, here we go. Here's our long shots list. Dear Disney, can we please get an announcement about an extended Skyliner that could actually reach hotels like Port Orleans Riverside French Quarter? Those are in the Epcot area after all. And maybe even Disney's Coronado Springs, Animal Kingdom Lodge. Would this look like a massive web in the sky? Yes. Would it also be awesome to have other transportation options other than the buses at these hotels? Also yes. Could we get Mystic Manor added to the China Pavilion? Because oh my goodness, this would be amazing. This is Hong Kong Disneyland's version of the Haunted Mansion, and it is incredible, and we definitely need it in the China Pavilion. Okay, can we also get another value resort option? I know Disney World is hyper-focused on deluxe resorts and Disney Vacation Club right now, but it would be nice to have another more affordable option that wouldn't cost us $500 plus per night to stay at. And finally, our biggest long shot of the bunch. This is our Hail Mary, a fifth park. You know, it's not necessarily impossible, right? Disney's got a lot of land, and there is Epic Universe opening up over at Universal. And they keep talking about how high the demand is, right? If the demand is that high, then maybe we need a fifth park, right? I think I need a fifth park. All right, so out of all the things we discussed today, which thing do you hope changes above all the others? Or are there multiple items on the list that deserve equal amounts of attention in 2023 for you? Let us know in the comments, and remember to keep checking back here with us as we finish out 2022 and head into the new year. Definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button, and that way you'll know for sure what's changing in the parks and what's not going to budge anytime soon. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.